cheaply. And instead of you getting the job, which you just knew she was going to give you a job, and you was going to make a couple of $1,000s and have money ahead, she went and took it somewhere else. And they made that money. And you find out how much she paid them, and you come and go, well, Mom, you could have paid me for that. And what do you do then? You start walking around, well, look at this, and look at this, and look at this, and look at this. I would have done you better than that. That is the problem with Christianity. We fail to understand. It says, present your body as a living sacrifice, pure and pleasing to God. In other words, that is your reasonable service. So what are the wages that we're expecting from God? In reality, who serves who? Think about this thing. Does God serve you? Is God at your beckoning call, Kai? Whenever we need God, sometimes I want him to serve at Monty's beckoning call. I almost bought a van.
Rub the lamp real quick.
Huh?
Rub the lamp real quick.
Yeah, I almost bought a van. And Eric, I was right down to the point of having them deliver this van. And I didn't feel quite right. I marginally prayed, and I say marginally, I put it within the bounds of my constraints. I put it within a reason. Hey, God, I need a van. What do you think? Isn't that how we pray to God? So the thing is that I'm sitting there and Lance, I've got this feeling, man, and something wasn't right. So I laid down. I said, God, we didn't talk. I don't know what to do. I'm afraid. I'm uncertain. And I don't trust Monty. I trust in you. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's the best thing. Tomorrow morning, I would greatly appreciate it if you would basically guide me in what to do. Because I'm at my wit's end. I don't know what to do, and I'm afraid of doing the wrong thing. Because I had to be honest. I had to say, David, I am more consistent with doing wrong than I am consistent with doing right. I have populated my list of all the wrong and bad decisions I've made. And then I populated my list with a few good decisions, Erica, that I've made. And I found out that through history, I am a predominantly bad decision maker. And so I can face this reality of my limitations of what and who I am. And so I am very, how would I say the proper word for this? I am very apt to make a wrong decision.
Do the opposite.
So the thing is that, like I told Amber, I don't know how to run a business. I just be honest with you. I don't really know how. Now, mind you, I have sit as an employee, Eric, and I've ran businesses, and I've told people how they should run their business. And that sounds great, but you can be a side chair business runner, and you can be an assistant manager and tell everybody everything that they're doing wrong what to do. Until it's your shoes, and you have to wear them. And you're the business owner. You got to make that decision. No bueno at all. And it's a thing that's like, okay. So I said, God, I don't know what to do. So he opened my eyes, and the first thing that he showed me was, Monty, you have a history of doing what you want to do, and what you want to do has a history of being the wrong decision. It was shrouded in right, but it was a wrong decision. So, the next morning I wake up, and I still don't feel comfortable with it. What do you think I did? I sent them a text. Hey guys, look, I'm backing off. Well, you got? I don't care. I am not at peace with this decision. I am not at peace with this decision. It's just not time. I'm not ready to make this call. I'm not ready to make this sacrifice. Because what is a sacrifice? You're giving up something. And so if we are making this sacrifice, in other words, it was going to cost me $600-something a month for this van payment. Eric says, heck, that's cheap. And I got thinking about this thing. I'm trying to build a business. And so what do? I don't know what to do, Emily, but I'm pretty good at telling you what not to do. So I've looked at the models of people that I've seen that would have success, Eric, but what would destroy them? What would kill them? Debt. Why would they produce this debt? Ego. It was ego-driven debt. You've got to have the best, you've got to have the finest, you've got to have all this fancy stuff. And the problem is your debt is so high that when because work is going to slow down. So in other words, you have to have an awareness. And if I know that the common denominator that I see for a lot of failures is business debt, then what do I need to avoid? Instead, I don't have to know what to do. All I've got to figure out is what not to do. So don't get that debt. Figure out a way to do it another way. I said, okay, God, that I'm not going to do. See, that's how God works. But the other side of it is that this whole reasonable service, this whole sacrifice thing, I told Amber, I have a goal and I have an aspiration. Eric, and I'm not trying to get personal, but I know personally, man, if I could save $600 a month and just put it aside somewhere, that's a lot of money. At the end of the year, that's how much money?
$7,200.
That if I would just wait a year, I can buy a good van. But the thing is that imagine saving $600 a month. That don't sound like a lot. But who honestly saves $600 a month? Who puts back $600 a month? Heck, if we're already struggling, $100 a month, if we're struggling with $20 a month, why do I put that burden upon myself? Why do I need to put that burden? Because I'm going to sacrifice something to pay for this. If I put this much thought into a business decision and trying to make the right thing, why would I not put the same thought to a spiritual dimension? Why would I not? Because we don't want to weigh the cost of spiritual decisions, Erica. Why would we not? Because what we want is a thing called plausible deniability. Somebody tell me what that means.
I don't know. It's not my fault.
So in other words, we are hoping somewhere along the line that, well, I hope we don't talk about this today, or I hope I don't have to deal with this stuff, or maybe if I just keep my head down while I'm in church. I'm in church, but my head's down, so I'm not hearing this stuff because I'm ignoring it.
Like deliberate ignorance.
Huh?
Like deliberate
It's
ignorance.
also one of those things that comes with faith is like we only really focus on things we see that are in front of us. We don't think about things that are in the future or things that aren't.
There we go. So, here's this point. So where we're at now is this reasonable service thing is that what are we really expecting from God? What is the point of Easter? What did Easter say? Easter is about sacrifice. The thing is that it's purely about sacrifice. It's about a choice. He presented his body, pure, spotless, blameless, as a living sacrifice. He gave up his will, his place, his seat, his direction. He says, not my will, but thy will. Imagine, the thing is that if we are a Christian, then we should be living the Christian model of existence. But what is the Christian model of existence? What do we do? Y'all have heard me say this. One of my pet peeves is people who are railing about all the problems, but yet offer no negligible path of a solution.
Yeah.
So the thing is that if we want to be this role, we have to understand, as a Christian, our payday is what? What is our payday? Huh?
Die or go to heaven.
Die and go to heaven. That's
it, buddy.
That's our end game, isn't
That's
it?
my retirement plan.
So, but the problem is, AJ, is that there's nothing wrong, you have to have a multi-step vision.
Yes.
Okay? So in other words, you have to have this end game of knowing, Eric, where you're going to be, where you want to be, but how are you going to get there?
Right.
What happens if all that you're looking at is Z, what about dealing every day? What about dealing every day? Because,
That's when you get overwhelmed.
yeah,
You just look at the end, but you're not working on the work that comes with that.
I was telling David, and he was telling me about a solution that kind of popped up and how it all worked out. I said, isn't it neat how God unfolds situations? He says that your blessings will even overtake you.
Yeah.
What that means is that when your blessings overtake you, that Lance, before you get to a need, it's already solved.
That's why Solomon didn't ask for anything, he asked for wisdom.
Yeah.
He knew that he asked for all these things that would
Yeah.
only cause him more trouble and.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the thing is that we have to have this understanding of where we're at, where we want to go, how do we live in this interim. So the thing is that you have to take the model then. What is the model of Christian service? Is there a parameter? Is there a guide? Yes, there is. And we're going to talk about this thing. But you got to ask yourself this question. Number one, who serves who? Do you serve God, or are you serving, or is God serving you? In other words, is your relationship about, AJ, you taking care of the family, or your family taking care of you? Which one is it?
Me taking care of my family.
Exactly. So the thing is that if you are a Christian, you are going to be classified, honestly, as 5 levels of people. Okay. Within the church, there is, and it's not by authority, it's not by power, it's not by anything, it's just how it's laid out, because there has to be
Hierarchy.
exactly. Minister, pastor. The second one is an elder, teacher. And if you want to know this is all somewhere. 1 Timothy, somebody go there real fast. And we're all going to read through it. The elder, teacher. The elder, people say, well, I'm an elder in the church. Well, do you know what an elder means? It means that you are a teacher. That means you've graduated. But to be a teacher, guess what you have to be? Teachable. You have to be a student. All right. Then after the elder/teacher, there are deacons. What is a deacon? He is an admin person. A deacon takes care of the admin stuff. So as an example, I know that Amber has worked for the past 2 to 3 weeks getting ready for her thing today. Getting stuff ready because she wanted to do something for the kids. She was not going to let this slip by. The number one problem that happens with pastors is pride. That's the number one thing that happens with pastors. That's their downfall. Look at my church. Look how good we're doing. Or they're also attacked through pride, saying, well, look how bad you're doing. You're not doing this. This is your pride. If you're succeeding, it's your pride. If you're failing, it's your pride. It's you getting hurt. With God, it's not about the successes or failures. It's the consistency. That you're showing up every day, your ego is out of it. That's one reason why I'm like this. Because again, I'm defeating my ego. Does that make sense, Eric? If not, I would get up here in a fancy suit. How many preachers are going to be up here today in a fancy suit, showing off and showing you all the things? Because again, it's pride. Further down the thing, it ends up being burnout. Burnout. It ends up being depression. You start having these things because you overextended, AJ. You have all these plans. You know what you're seeing, and yet you have this frustration because what did he say? In John, these 2 verses right here both talk about the same thing. He said, consider the fields. He says, they're white for harvest. But he says, the laborers are few. Now, who was talking here? This was Jesus. Jesus felt this because he said, I think it was in Matthew 9, he says that he had compassion upon them because he's seen where these people were going. This compassion was this thing of like, because I prayed, I said, God, why do I feel this thing? He said, because it's compassion. Why do I, when I have something in my mind and I know it's towards a person and that person doesn't show up, I know that they've missed their opportunity to hear what God had for them to say. It's compassion. Because I know, I see your struggles. I see where you go through. So, when you are struggling and when you're having these problems, it's this compassion. But what happens is that this compassion ends up being frustration because you start seeing how many times do you have compassion for your children, but yet you end up being frustrated, or you have compassion for a friend, Kai. You have compassion for a friend who's going through a struggle. And yet they keep going back to that struggle. You have a friend who has an abusive boyfriend or abusive girlfriend, Dory, and all of a sudden they keep going back to that person. For a while you have compassion for you feel sorry, but eventually you have what with them? Frustration. So here's this thing. You're struggling, you're having these troubles, you're having your trials because you've not fit into where you belong. So then, if you're not a deacon or involved in admin, making sure that the teachers have what they need. What is the number one thing that an admin person, because in one instance, if you are here more than once a month, you probably are operating in this deacon realm and you don't even know it. You are supposed to be sharing this burden because what is the number one thing that a teacher needs? If you are an admin person, what is the number one thing? Jessica and AJ are fantastic about this. And when they're not operating this realm, the church suffers for it. I tell you honestly. But when you're functioning in this realm, the church is blessed from it. And you tell you what it is. What is the number one thing that a teacher needs?
Students.
Who?
Students.
You better believe it. What happens if the teacher is going out there trying to get kids to go to church? You got one person, right? What happens if you had 10 people going out trying to get kids to go to church?
The odds increase if
Oh.
more people coming in.
Yeah. What would happen? See, Amber spent 2 to 3 weeks. I know. I've got this little problem. I suffer from too much information. If my wife starts telling me a story, she starts telling me all of her plans, how everything's working out. That's why I'm here.
Like Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown's teacher. That's what I hear because I'm here. She tell me what she wants. I'm good with it. But by the time I heard it for the 47th time, it's like, okay, I know. But imagine what would have happened if somebody else had the vision to say, hey, look, how can I work towards this? How can I help? What can we do? How can we get there? All of a sudden now, Amber, she realizes that she's not by herself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
She's not. So that is your job. That is if you don't want to be. Or, guess what you are? If you're not that person, you're not willing to fulfill that role, you're a member. A good friend of mine, he told me the most startling revelation I've probably ever heard in my life. We was talking, Eric, in my Masonic role. And I was frustrated about people who would actually show up. We have a thing called degrees. And to have a lodge of fellowcrafts, you had to have a minimum number of people to even open the lodge. We didn't have enough people there to open the lodge that night. We had enough visitors come in, and the visitors outnumbered the members, Dory, by 2. In other words, there was twice as many visitors as there was members. You know how many members that lodge had? About 400. And we could not produce more than 5 people who would show up. And you know why they wouldn't come? Because traditionally, David, they did all the degrees on the second or third Tuesday night. The problem with that is that there were people who were in the Scottish Rite. The second Tuesday night was the Scottish Rite. The third Tuesday night was the York Rite. So if part of your membership was obligated these other 2 nights, Kyle, why do we have to do it on Tuesday night? Well, that's how we've always done it.